Hi there folks, well, welcome back to my channel, and for this video I'm going to be doing another video looking at some more Scottish products. So yes, I think this might kind of be a series that might kind of continue with the channel. Again, I like, for myself, I like exploring different kind of like products that are coming out of Scotland, whether it be kind of different food, drink, kind of cosmetics, anything like that. I just like being able to kind of explore and find new things. So before I get on to what I'm actually going to be looking at for this video, again, a little bit of housekeeping. If you are enjoying my channel, if you are enjoying my videos, if you can click on the subscriber button, click on the notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated and it does help the channel to grow. And I do love hearing from you all as well. So I love hearing seeing your comments, seeing what you think in all of my videos. And if you have any suggestions for products that you'd like me to possibly look at or kind of maybe talk about in one of these videos, definitely let me know in the comments section below. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I will leave a link to the channel's coffee.com page in the description bar below, as well as in a pinned comment in the comment section. So with that out of the road, with that done and dusted, let's get back onto the actual main topic of this video. And I have done, as you will already know, I've already done, I think it's about 3 videos so far looking at Scottish gin, and somebody had asked if I could possibly do some videos looking at Scottish whisky, because again, Scotland, Scottish products, you can't do videos on this sort of thing without at least looking at whisky. So with Scottish whisky, it's spelt without an E, so it's W-H-I-S-K-Y, so that's how you can usually tell if it's Scottish whisky, from just kind of looking at packaging if you're not told anything about where the drink comes from. And the one I'm going to be looking at is the Auchentoshan. I think this is the American Oak, which I think is probably one of the most popular whiskies. And I've already been to the whisky distillery, which is, I think that was the first whisky distillery that I ever visited, and it's on Great Western Road, and it's just as you're kind of going along, you've kind of came out of Glasgow, you've gone through Clydebank and it leads up into Dunbartonshire, and the Auchentoshan distillery is kind of ahead if you're heading out towards the Erskine Bridge. It's just off Great Western Road itself. So I think kind of the Auchentoshan do kind of sort of kind of promote themselves as being kind of connected to Glasgow, but they are kind of a bit more kind of Dunbartonshire based. And you can actually see in some of the cover of the box itself, they actually use the Glasgow skyline, because that there is Goma, or what is locally called Goma, which is the Gallery of Modern Art. And got the Squinty Bridge. I think what else is on that one. I think that there might be the tower for Glasgow University, and I think that's the bridge that's down towards St Andrew's Cathedral, and I think down there is the Riverside Museum, which is the Transport Museum, and we've got the Titan Crane, which is that one there. And I don't know if you can quite see it in the video, but right there, right at the bottom, just above my finger, is Wellington, which is just outside Goma, which it stands just outside the Gallery of Modern Art, and he has his cone hat on. And for those who don't know, the statue of Wellington, which stands outside the Gallery of Modern Art, always has a cone hat on. It's essentially as a traffic cone. I think it was something that was started by students who were out for the night and just started kind of climbing up on the statue and just put a traffic cone on the head of the statue. And I think quite a few times in the past, like the council have removed the cone, and within like a night or a couple of nights, another cone's been put on top of it. I think there was at one point, folks had managed to put on like 4 or 5 cones on top of each other and put it on top of the statue. It's just a kind of a Glasgow thing, and it's usually seen as being kind of a sign of respect almost in the city. And it's just in Glasgow, if you go to Glasgow, it is not a Wellington statue without the cone hat. It's just kind of something to do in the city, and it's always usually kind of viewed with a certain level of, oh, it's Glasgow, it's funny. And yeah, so that's kind of explaining some of the images on the box for the American Oak. So I actually do quite like the box. It's kind of quite simple, but it does get in a lot of information. It does kind of get in quite a lot of a kind of sense of Glasgow, or kind of at least kind of that kind of idea of the city. That there is that kind of like mix of the old and the new just on the cover, which again sums up Glasgow quite a lot. And yeah, so in the back of the box as well, it actually does give some information. It gives a guide to how to actually pronounce it. It says Auchentoshan, and actually it's a kind of colour and flavour list as well, like just on the bottom. So if you're wanting to have a wee kind of look at that as well. So enough talking about the box. I do kind of like the packaging. The packaging is nice. Yeah, when I was actually at Auchentoshan, the distillery, so that's the bottle there for the American Oak. Yeah, I wasn't really able to sit and enjoy my dram because I was driving. So I had to kind of forgo that aspect of the tour. Just try to figure out how to actually open this. Might just stop the video for a second. Yeah, the bottle had one of those kind of foil seals on the top, so it took a bit longer than I expected to actually try and kind of peel it off. I didn't really think you'd want to sit and watch me kind of struggle with the top of a bottle, so I finally got it off. And yeah, so that's my first time actually, I have to admit, with whiskey, my first experience of trying whiskey was when I must have been about 15, and I was curious and I wanted to know what whiskey tasted like. With my mum and dad not being fans of whiskey and not really drinking whiskey, they didn't really have any bottles of decent whiskey in the house. The only bottle of whiskey they had was a bottle of, it was famous grouse they had, because that was what my papa drank. So me being a daft 15-year-old, didn't know what whiskey was about. Didn't really have any understanding of whiskey or any appreciation for whiskey. So I managed to snake a wee drink from the bottle. And yeah, it was grouse. Not the best introduction to whiskey. Yeah, what ended up happening was I managed to get the top back on the bottle, but managed to hide the bottle back in the cupboard, and I had to run into the kitchen and drink back as many glasses of water as I possibly could. It was making me cough, it was just burning the back of my throat. Didn't like it at all, and it did sort of put me off whiskey for a good wee while. And it wasn't maybe until a couple of years ago when I actually did go to the whiskey tour at Auchentoshan, I decided, no, I'm going to give it another go and actually learn to drink proper whiskey. So again, it's like with Auchentoshan being a lowland whiskey, it is more on the kind of the softer end of things from what I've been told. It's not like what you get with Isley's, which do tend to be very smoky, very peaty. And I've actually been told if you are starting out wanting to drink whiskey, it is better to start with a lowland whiskey. Again, other people might have other suggestions. That's just what I've been told. So Auchentoshan might actually be a good place to start. So I do quite like the smell of it as well. It's a bit more subtle, a bit sweeter. So I'm not going to put in too much because, again, not really be much of a whiskey drinker myself. Probably better starting slow. Because I have to admit, what I do tend to drink myself tends to be more kind of gins and ciders. So yeah. Okay, I know I'm drinking out, just having a wee drink of it straight just there, just because I sometimes kind of like trying something like a kind of whiskey or a gin and just trying it straight first, to actually kind of maybe see it without diluting it or having anything else in it. And it is definitely kind of on the softer, kind of sweeter end of things. So I have tried, so it was one Islay whiskey before. I can't remember which one it was, but it was essentially like drinking fire. It didn't have the same effect on me as what the famous grouse did, but it didn't send me to having to go and drink loads of water, but it was just that really smoky kind of taste. It was almost like kind of having, like you've just taken a drink of fire. It just tastes like smoke. And I know there have been people who have in the past on certain groups on Facebook have asked what people would recommend as being the best to mix with a single malt, and has been, would you recommend whiskey? Would you recommend Coke or Pepsi? And it's just, you can usually just see all the reaction of all the Scottish just looking at them going, no, just no. Because I think kind of all the kind of whiskey purists will tell you that, especially if you're drinking a single malt, which Auchentoshan is, it's better to either drink it straight or drinking it neat, having maybe 1 or 2 ice cubes in it, or maybe as what I could sometimes do if I do ever get the chance of sampling even the smallest bit of whiskey, is just putting in a dash of water. And the joy of Scotland, with us having really soft water here, you can drink the water straight from the tap. So you don't have to filter it, you don't have to do anything special with it, you can just get the water straight from the tap and you can have it with your whiskey. And if you are in Scotland and you're going to be drinking whiskey with anyone, or just drinking in general, you might hear this phrase. And please do excuse my use of Gaelic if there is anybody out there who does speak Gaelic, and if I do butcher this, but the phrase that you will possibly hear is slangiva, or possibly just slange for short. So that's slangiva, and essentially it is a way of saying cheers, and essentially I think it translates as to your health. So that's kind of one phrase that you will possibly hear if you're out drinking in Scotland, or if you are going to a whisky distillery, you might hear that, especially if you're getting the chance to try some of the whisky itself. So yeah, I think I might made the right choice in having Auchentoshan as my start point for getting into whisky and starting my whisky adventure even further, because especially after last year, I've not really had the chance to kind of go out and continue my distillery adventure. So yeah, I could always continue my whisky adventure at home. So I will post a link to the Auchentoshan distillery in the description bar below if anybody's interested in having a look at some of the wares. And I do think that, I know in some supermarkets in Scotland they sell Auchentoshan. Again, it does depend on what supermarket you go to. You might have to have a wee nosy in the different supermarkets to see what you can find. But I will post a link to their website in the description bar below. So I'm going to sign off just now, and hopefully you will have enjoyed this video. Hopefully you'll be intrigued in trying Auchentoshan's American Oak Whisky, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.